Hi, welcome back to another video. And today I'll be talking about the primary elections that happened late last night, where we now finally know for the New Jersey governor race who our nominees are going to be both on the Democratic side and the Republican side. Now these primary elections came and, not really much of not really much of any competitive primary race here, where we had, right, Mickey Sherrill really, ably win this election by here 14 points here. And she really walked away with this nomination, right? She came out, did her victory speech. We still have 93% of the vote in. We have 7% in, but obviously the winner is very clear here. It is Mickey Sherrill, where she got 267,000 votes. Her opponents, Ras Baraka, and if that name sounds familiar to you, then, well, yeah, that is because he is the mayor that was arrested I think, about a month ago now by ICE during that altercation, and then he was released. Many people thought that could have helped his campaign, but unfortunately for him, he only got 20% of the vote, so really, it didn't really do much for his candidacy. So yeah, he only got 160,000 votes. He got 20% of the vote. You also have Steve Fulop, who only got 15 or almost 16% of the vote, 124,000. And Josh Gottheimer, who I talked about when he first announced his candidacy months ago. He only got 92,000 votes here with only 11% of the vote. And you could see just Mickey Sherrill dominating all of these counties here, winning almost all of them. Now, there have been a couple that, went to Steve Sweeney here, or like some up here that went to Josh here, or this one that went to Baraka. But still, majority of these counties here have gone to Mickey Sherrill. And now she is going to be the Democratic nominee. Now, on the Republican side, we have Jack. Right? He was the Republican nominee in 2021. He barely lost against the current governor. He almost barely lost in 2021. He is back. He easily won the nomination last night with 67% of the vote, with 380,000 votes. His opponents here really barely, breaking through here. 99,000 votes and 28,000 votes. So, the second here, Bill Spadita got 21%, almost 22. John Bramick got only 6% of the vote. And Jack was able to win, I believe, all of these counties here. You can see he hasn't lost a single county so far. We are 95% of the vote in. I don't think any county here is going to flip in any favor of these other candidates here that really weren't able to, rack up enough votes as Jack here, who won this pretty much by a landslide here. This primary pretty much by a landslide here. Now, the interesting thing here is when you look at the total vote, that was counted, right? So far, this probably will go up, as more of the vote, as the final votes here are counted. So this is not the final, but as of right now, total reported for the Republican primary, 454,804 Republicans voted in this primary. And then if you go to the Democratic side, look at how much bigger that number is, 786,542 votes. And I think what we're seeing here is really that the Democrats seem to be more energized and more excited to vote in these primary elections than compared to Republicans. I think that if we were in 2021, we would be, or if Kamala Harris actually won the election last year, then we would be seeing something completely different. But because Donald Trump is president, and because Democrats are much more upset and much more energized than compared to Republicans, who seem very satisfied with what President Trump is doing, Democrats seem more excited and energized to come out and really participate in these primary elections than compared to Republicans. I mean, you still have some that are very engaged, that still pay attention, but you still have Democrats who are much, much more energized. And that's why we see so many of these candidates here. We'd show all the candidates. All right, so that's why we see so many candidates here, and that's why we see so many more votes. It's not just because there's more candidates, but it's because that the Democrats are much more energized. So we have about 5 Republican candidates in the Republican primary, and then the Democrat primary we have about 6. Which, yeah, like I said, really, it does not come down to there being more candidates. It comes down to being the voters are energizing more on the Democratic side than the Republican side, and we are seeing that with the total amount of votes. Now, this election itself, I have mentioned in my monthly Governor 2025 predictions that I'm more uncertain when it comes down to New Jersey then Virginia, because Virginia, at least we have our nominees even before the primary, right? Obviously, you know, it's going to be Spanberger against Winsome Sears, and we have a lot of polls that are suggesting that Spanberger could win this race by just 5 points here, or you know, around 5 to 6 points. But we really didn't know for a while in New Jersey who the nominees are going to be, and we didn't have really any, you know, breakdown of 1v1 polls here. But now we know who the nominees. Right, it's going to be Democrat Mickey against Republican Jack here. And but we still, unfortunately, we still do not have any polls here. If you go to the Wikipedia page here, there is no selection for polls here, unfortunately. And I already checked; there are no polls on Real Clear Politics either, unfortunately. So we still have to wait for some time for there going to be, you know, some polls that will be that are going to be released against Mickey and Jack here. But until we, you know, we get any polls and, you know, we really start to see a picture here, until any of that happens, we still really you know, not sure how this race is going so far, other than, you know, if you compare it to the primary elections, the Democratic primary voters seem more excited to come out and vote than the Republican primary voters. But we do have, I believe, some endorsements, right? So far for Mickey Schrow, endorsements come from both Democratic senators of New Jersey, Cory Booker, Andy Kim, and even Phil Murphy as the governor. Now I don't think we have any on the Republican side, but I do believe in the Republican primary, I do believe Jack was endorsed by President Trump. I don't know how that happened. So yeah, the nominee is going to be Jack. So there's no, oh, there's endorsements. Okay, so the endorsements, let's see if they have Trump in here. Yeah, here we go. Yep, there we go. The endorsements for Jack. As you can see here, President Trump did endorse him about like a week ago. We also have Kellyanne Conway, who was also in the first Trump administration. We have some state legislators, county officials. So you do have a lot of Republicans that have, you know, that have come for Jack, and they're trying to unite him. You have organizers, you have newspapers, but still, we really are not sure, you know, how this is going to go down. We don't really have any polls against Mickey and Jack. We had a lot of polls for the Democratic primary where, you know, it was really certain that Schrow was going to win this primary because she led in almost all of the polling. And so, yeah, we still don't have, you know, any polling here to suggest, you know, Mickey has the momentum or Jack has the momentum. Until we get them, we're really not going to be sure. But as of right now, I think that Mickey, probably the favorite for right now. You know, this is going to be an election cycle that is probably going to favor the Democrats. And Virginia is already showing that. If Virginia, you know, goes that way, New Jersey probably will. Republicans came very, very close last time around in 2021 to winning. Unfortunately for them, they came short and they lost by about 2 to 3 points. And that only happened because because Joe Biden was president, right? There was a Democrat in the White House, and Republicans, you know, felt angry and excited, and they came out to vote. I don't think this is going to be happening this time around, because you have a lot of Republican voters that feel satisfied with what they've gotten. They're not going to be paying attention as much as they were 4 years ago. And I don't think they're going to be coming out for Jack. I think that Jack probably will lose this race again, but we still don't have any polling, and we will see what happens. Anyways, until then, we do not know. But anyways, that is going to be the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.